While the impending exit of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger from ECOWAS is disheartening, we commend the ongoing mediation efforts led by Their Excellencies President Faure Gnassingbé of Togo and President Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal.
The military regimes of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso had announced their withdrawal in January 2024, accusing ECOWAS of aligning with foreign interests, particularly France. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, decided to offer Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso a transition period on leaving the bloc, keeping its doors open for dialogue and reconciliation. The Sahelian trio were set to leave on January 29th, but this transition period would allow them more time to assess the consequences of their decision. Officials say it signals the bloc's willingness to explore solutions, even as the three nations insist on leaving.
Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, my three defiant children. How are you doing? So apparently Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are my three favorite African countries. Many people think that they are defiant. Yeah, many heads of state. But Africans, we love these three countries. We love them for what they stand for. We love them for their principles. We love Ibrahim Traore. We love those other heads of state. Imagine these three countries, after defying France, when we also had Senegal defying France. We also had Chad defying France. You know, France thought it had that huge grasp on every African country that they touched. They thought nobody can tell them to back off. But these three countries stood together in unity and told France, you go away, you know. And this is something beautiful, you know, because France has really, if there's a country that has really exploited Africa, it is France. And their methods are very bad as compared to the rest, you know. You know who the rest is. Apart from backing away from France, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali also backed away from ECOWAS. ECOWAS is like a puppet for the West as well. Nana Akufo was telling on Burkina Faso, his neighbors, to the United States of America in order to gain favor from the United States government. He was saying the activities that were taking place in his neighbor's house. What happens in your neighbor's house? It's their business. It's not yours, you know. Let them be. Let them do what they want to do, you know, as long as it does not affect you. So Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali has confirmed, you know, back then, a few months ago, we had these rumors that they dropped ECOWAS, and now they have really confirmed that they don't want anything to do with ECOWAS. Yep. Now, you might ask yourself, what is ECOWAS? ECOWAS is the abbreviation for Economic of the West African States. Economy of the West African States is a trade bloc that was developed by countries of the West African state in a way that they would trade together. They would see their countries grow without these issues of passports, visas, and this would ease development. So ECOWAS apparently has not been favoring some of these African countries. ECOWAS has been working under the disguise of ECOWAS, but it has been implementing the interests of the West on these countries. You know, this was exemplified when Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali took themselves and decided they didn't want any part with Niger and with France when they told France to leave. You see how ECOWAS reacted. Now they have confirmed that they don't want ECOWAS, and ECOWAS is now saying, okay, you know that you need us, and if you need us, you may want to reconsider your thought of leaving.
They quickly set up their own defensive alliance. The hunters described their exit as irreversible, aiming to redefine their policies outside ECOWAS's framework. But ECOWAS leaders remain hopeful for a U-turn, emphasizing that unity should override all issues when trying to overcome regional challenges.
The strength of our region lies in our unity, and through integration, we can overcome our challenges and chart a path forward to a shared prosperity.
Despite the ongoing tensions, ECOWAS faces financial difficulties due to stalled projects, including the major solar water initiative in Liberia and Guinea. However, a significant development came with Nigeria's full settlement of its community levy payments. This marks the first time in nearly 2 decades that the bloc's largest economy has fulfilled its financial obligations.
I am therefore pleased to announce that on Friday, 13th December 2024, Nigeria paid 85 billion naira and 54 million US dollars, representing 100% of the 2023 levy and the levy of 2024 up to July 2024.
As ECOWAS nears its 50th anniversary, leaders are pushing for deeper economic integration and emphasizing youth and women-focused initiatives to drive development. Reaffirming their commitment to unity as the foundation for regional peace and prosperity, they continue to urge Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to seize this transition period for renewed cooperation.
You know, ECOWAS is now wanting them back after they have left. But while they were here, they were not treated. Why do you think ECOWAS wants these 3 countries back? Remember, I told you ECOWAS is a puppet. And ECOWAS wants these people back. Okay, their masters, who is the puppet master? The West, or those governments, the white government, would put their hands on the minerals in Niger, would put their hands in the mineral in Burkina Faso, and also will steal those minerals in Mali. And so I think it's wise that they've made a good decision to get a full image of what's really happening. I want us to dive into this video, check it out, and then I shall share with you my thoughts, where we shall also have a deep, critical analysis. Let's dive in.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has accepted Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger's requests and determination to exit the Union. ECOWAS will start the transition process from these hunters. However, the president of ECOWAS maintains the door is still open for mediation during this transition phase from January to July 2025. Rufai, this is last year, they stated their intentions to withdraw from ECOWAS. It looked like things were looking better with negotiations and mediations from presidents. I know Senegal, President Senegal in particular, and some religious leaders and otherwise, but it's like it's the end of the road for Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso as members of ECOWAS.
It's the end of the road for now because they are being led by military juntas. Tomorrow, you might have a civilian government in those countries and they decide to restart ties. So I'm not surprised. These greedy, egregious, selfish military leaders are just constantly about their own selfish interests. Look at Assimi Goïta, for instance. I think when the democratic impasse started in Mali, President Jonathan was even part of those that went there to talk to Assimi Goïta. They will first lie and say, okay, we'll put forward a pact to return to civilian rule. And the next thing, they renege on that part. Yeah. So that's it. In Niger, we have also seen all the empirical facts that it was not as if Bazoum did anything that was wrong. Yeah. They just wanted to take over. In Burkina Faso, yes, we know there was impasse. And that's why also, please, the political leaders who should play by the rules. Because if you don't play by the rules, then you will open the flanks for people like this. But we should never support military rule. It's never the way forward. Because it has come to show that all these leaders were about their own selfish interests. The second point of it is, yes, according to Article 91 in the ECOWAS Treaty, you give a one-year period for an exit clause. When you give a one-year period, negotiations go on and all of that. But they are saying they didn't want to take this clause. In fact, they had gone ahead to set up their own association of the Sahel, you know, where they're all coming together, and all of them are saying they want to pivot towards Russia, which I'm going to talk about, which is going to give them a big problem. So now that ECOWAS are saying, yeah, we're going to put up a timeline to 2025 where you're going to officially go. Yes, I mean, it's no big deal. Mauritania too left the ECOWAS Union at some point. But also we have seen people like even up to Morocco saying they wanted to join because they said the juicy trade package also available in this West African market. So, yes, I know ECOWAS is going through challenges. It was set up in 75, but the truth has to be said. We need to be able to say, like Thomas Isodowe Noel Shankara would say, colonialismo aba, militarism aba, down with it in all of these countries. As regards hobnobbing with Russia, see, the truth is, you think France is about colonial power and all of that. France is also wrong in its own regard because of what they have done to these countries in the past. But Russia is even worse off. Russia will just come and steal and plunder. How do I know? Empirical fact. Look, because it has come to show that all these leaders were about their own selfish interests. The second point of it is, yes, according to Article 91 in the ECOWAS Treaty, you give a 1 year period for an exit clause. When you give a 1 year period, negotiations go on and all of that. But they are saying they didn't want to take this clause. In fact, they had gone ahead to set up their own association of the Sahel, you know, where they're all coming together, and all of them are saying they want to pivot towards Russia, which I'm going to talk about, which is going to give them a big problem. So now that ECOWAS are saying, yeah, we're going to put up a timeline to 2025 when you're going to officially go. Yes, I mean, it's no big deal. Mauritania too left the ECOWAS Union at some point. But also we have seen people like even up to Morocco saying they wanted to join because they said the juicy trade package also available in this West African market. So, yes, I know ECOWAS is going through challenges. It was set up in 75, but the truth has to be said. We need to be able to say, like Thomas Isodowe Noel Shankara would say, colonialismo aba, militarism aba, down with it in all of these countries. As regards hobnobbing with Russia, see, the truth is, you think France is about colonial power and all of that. France is also wrong in its own regard because of what they have done to these countries in the past. But Russia is even worse off. Russia will just come and steal and plunder. How do I know? Empirical fact. Look at what they're doing in Sudan. Look at how Russia now has pivoted between two factions in Sudan because it favors them. It's always about what is in it for them. Russia was in Sudan to be able to get a leeway, to be able to get a military foothold on the African continent. They've been looking for this opportunity. And with Wagner doing some work across most of these African countries, these people think they're delusional enough to think Russia is in their interest. Russia will be out there to look for solid minerals. So the France you are running away from, Russia is obviously not the solution. What I constantly talk about is Africa should grow from within. And this country should be able to live to meet the potentials of all their greatness. And that's what the likes of, and I'm saying this because one of the countries part of it, Burkina Faso, had a certain leader that was a visionary called Thomas Isodowe Noel Shankara. And that was the dream of Sankara all this while.
All right, thanks. Dr. Abati?
Okay, 2 meetings were held over the weekend. This is the State's Ordinary Summit of the ECOWAS Authority of Affairs of State and Government, hosted by Nigeria. I was attended by a number of the leaders of the ECOWAS states. On Saturday, preceding that meeting of the Authority of Affairs of State, there was a meeting of ministers drawn from what is called the Alliance of the Sahel States, AES, namely the countries Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger that withdrew from ECOWAS. Now, let's give the background. The background is that there were coups, you know, in those 3 countries, the trio, as they are otherwise referred to. In Mali in 2020 and 2021, in Burkina Faso in 2022, in Niger in 2023. Now, under the ECOWAS protocols, constitutive protocols is called of ECOWAS. Now, governance by any other means than democratic means is not allowed. So ECOWAS heads of state and authorities came against these 3 countries and imposed sanctions on them. In their reaction, they said, well, they accused members of ECOWAS of supporting France, of listening too much to France. And they decided to exit ECOWAS in January 2024. Under ECOWAS protocols, Article 1991 of the revised ECOWAS treaty, because it's a revised treaty, they have just 1 year, and that withdrawal will take effect by January 29, 2025. In the meantime, the ECOWAS leaders decided to send
President Faure Gnassingbé of Togo, and also later appointed in July 2024, President Faye of Senegal to intervene. President Tinubu of Nigeria, in his capacity as ECOWAS chair, also sent several delegations, to those three countries to see how peace could be done. However, in the light of these recent developments, on Saturday, the ministerial committees of the three affected countries resolved that their exit from ECOWAS is irreversible. That's the word that they used. They also resolved that, however, the members of the other ECOWAS countries will still have free trade, free movement, relationship with their three states. In other words, free movement will not be touched, free trade will not be touched, and that will seem to mitigate concerns about free trade and movement within the ECOWAS sub-region, which was established under the Lagos Plan of Action, to facilitate integration within the West African region. And now on Sunday, you had the heads of state themselves meeting, and they resolved that, well, Article 91 has kicked into action. But what they did, basically, is an extension. They have given the three states of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger an additional 6 months. So January 29 will now take effect in July 29. And the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Ibrahim Traore, is supposed to work out the modalities for that transition. But they are also hoping that President Faye and President Faure Gnassingbé and others who are working on this will still be able to dialogue with the three affected states to bring them back into the fold. Now, why is this important? Next year, 2025, will be the 58th anniversary of ECOWAS. There are issues to be addressed apart from these three states and also representation. These are issues on the table that will still have to be resolved.
All right, yeah, a number of issues that still need to be resolved. First of all, in truth, we had seen this, this was already coming last year, January, following what they saw as foreign interference and ECOWAS's response to the military coups in these countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. They felt that ECOWAS wasn't serving the purpose for which it was set up, and so they made the decision, these three countries made the decision to withdraw. Initially, it seemed like it would be sorted, and part of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's role and responsibility as chairman of the commission was to ensure that he kept the member states intact. Unfortunately, almost 1 year down the line, it looks like there's no progress that has been made, and the three countries are still adamant that they would want to exclude themselves as members of ECOWAS. Of course, we know that, as has been mentioned, ECOWAS was set up as a regional bloc to facilitate trade, facilitate relationships, a movement of people, goods, services, ideas across the member states of this country. What it then shows, because when this initially happened, the question came up as to how effective is ECOWAS. A lot of people know that Nigeria bears a huge burden of this regional bloc. But then when you don't have an, influence in being able to keep smaller countries like Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali able to remain, then there's a red flag right there. And perhaps it's a wake-up call for ECOWAS itself as a regional bloc to begin to look at, reevaluate its relevance as a regional bloc and to see how we can make it more attractive for member states to belong. Because if there are no incentives, no opportunities lost seen by these countries, then there's nothing for them to remain as part of members. So even though President Bola Ahmed Tinubu used the opportunity to highlight some of his achievements in his second year as chairman, noting again that only Nigeria has been able to pay up its community levies, again bearing a huge chunk. So as was mentioned, the most important thing for us as a regional bloc is to ensure that we strengthen our base. If not, we will continue to depend on foreign interference, foreign interventions to exist or to be able to tap into or leverage
energy.
our natural resources, which if we come together as a bloc, if we come together as a region, we're able to really leverage that and really for the best interest of our countries. I think it's quite unfortunate. I don't see any way that they would change their minds. Again, like has been said, except there's a change of government, they can still come back, and I'm sure the doors will still be open to these countries where they mine
this mineral that if you split it, you get electricity. Mali, the same. Burkina Faso, the same. France came in the name of providing security to these countries, but they really didn't provide no security. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are still facing those rebels. The rebels that are as a result of NATO affecting Libya when they killed who? That former guy from Libya, Muammar al-Gaddafi. When they killed him, those people stepped and crushed that country. And now they are spreading across West Africa until they go to this country. Now, the West caused a problem, and now they want to solve the problem. And by solving the problem, they loot you of your resources. These three countries discovered the tactics, and they decided it's no more. They discovered that ECOWAS was being used to colonize them. ECOWAS was being used to chain them. Right now, Tinubu might be saying that they need unity. But back then, when these three countries were suffering, he was not saying that. Back then, when they closed their borders, they said that, these three countries are landlocked, and now they don't have access to the Atlantic Ocean. Those ECOWAS countries that have access to the Atlantic Ocean blocked their ports, and they blocked goods from the West, or rather goods from anywhere where they come from reaching these three countries. Back then, when these people were starving, back then when these people were looking for a way outside colonization, neo-colonization, after these people found a solution, after Morocco itself decided, no, these are our fellow people, these are our Africans, these are fellow humans, the president of Morocco allowed it opened its port for goods to reach Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Morocco is on the top north, opened their ports, so the goods even had to travel a longer distance. But those Africans in ECOWAS refused to open their borders. So this story of unification is a scam. This story of Tinubu and all this is a scam. They are afraid, and they are saying that, okay, because you guys were providing resources to our puppet master will not be happy with us because you guys are not giving him what he deserves. Now all these talks, all these are just gibberish. They are just garbage. All these things, discussions, debates. The point is, the ECOWAS wants the goods in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. They want to hold them back as they used to. It's like somebody who is narcissistic, They have abused you for such a long time, and you've come to discover it later that, oh, this person is narcissistic, And now that you've discovered that, you decided to keep some distance. Now that they don't have the control of you, they feel bad, and they'll try any means possible to bring you back to them. That is what is happening. I'm happy that AES, which is a trade bloc that was developed by these three countries, is becoming more and more popular. Many countries are exiting ECOWAS, and now they're joining AES. AES, which was invented by Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Congratulations to these three countries for showing that indeed it can be done with neocolonialism. Neocolonialism is a thing that Africans, if they decide, they can do away with it. Look at Senegal. Look at Chad. We have more countries coming. Look at Felix, that guy from Congo, the DRC Congo president, Felix. He has such a hard name, that guy. He also points out Macron to his face. Stop this, Sometimes those people who will bring you down are those people who are closest to you. Be careful of them. Yep. Just be careful. For this case, for Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the person closest to them is ECOWAS. Yeah. So I hope you get value from this video, and if you do, kindly, you know what to do. Subscribe, check out our subscription on Patreon, support us over there, and give us super things. It really helps me help you. So see you in the next one. Remember, you don't need to stay where you're being abused. Yeah, you don't need. Just find a way out, like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Yeah, see you in the next one.